Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. I am Horace. I am your host for today. And I want you to know that we are so glad that you have joined us today. Whether this is your first time or if you've been here before, we honor your presence in this diverse, affirmative, and open-hearted community. So today's message is the anatomy of the second act. The anatomy of the second act. And with that exciting title, which preludes the message for today, I want to leave you with this thought. In life, the first act is always exciting, but it is the second act that's where the depth comes in. Let me repeat that. In life, the first act is always exciting, but it is the second act. That's where the depth comes in. And that is from Joyce Van Patten. So allow yourself to sit back and relax and allow yourself to take in the upcoming message and just allow yourself to just be a part of this community. You can submit a prayer request when you go to the website, csoCharlotte.org, and you can connect with all the other opportunities, which we're going to talk about in detail later on. So now take a slow, deep breath, relax and settle in. And I'm going to pass the mic over to our awesome, wonderful, fearless leader, Reverend Rosedale.
That was so awesome, Horace, how you differentiated the two parts of Act One and Act Two. That was just fabulous. Thank you for that quote. That was great. Stay tuned. Welcome, everybody. If you're on YouTube, welcome. You're here with CSL Charlotte. We are the Mind, Body, Spirit Center, and it's all about that. And today, what we're talking about is the anatomy of the second act. Now, the first on our platform today is my friend and my colleague, Reverend Sonja Prince. And listen to her prayer because you got to brace yourself for the second act because the first act is happening now. You're getting it. You're getting it. So with that being said, okay, Reverend Sonja, pray us in.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, the title is The Anatomy of the Second Act. And on this beautiful day, what I know and recognize is that there's only one power and one presence, one infinite intelligence that is the source and substance of all that there is, everything. The divine mind is perfect. It is whole and it is complete. It is the macrocosm, the vast, unlimited creative power in this universe. And guess what? It expresses through itself through each and every one of us. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm, perfectly individualized, yet never separate from the one. So I recognize that I am one with this presence, and we are all one with this presence, and all the good that it has to offer us is within us. And we just have to open ourselves up and know that there's no separation and there can be no separation. Ernest Holmes reminds us that the center of God activity is expressing its one life through each and every one of us. And so this morning, as we celebrate this sacred truth, and as we hear the message delivered by Reverend Rosedale, we will be getting ourselves ready for our second act. Because the first act, we may not know all the truth, but in the second act, we know it, we embody it, and we just live from that place. This is the mind, body, spirit center, and everything out of Reverend Rosedale's mouth today, I know is going to inspire us. All the readers, everything that happens today is divinely guided. This is a sacred time for us to just be, open ourselves up and listen. And listen. And then the other thing I know today is that on the eve of Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, he talks about freedom. And what I know about this power, this presence, this intelligence that is within all of us It offers us freedom. So we are here today to hear the word, to hear about that second act, so we can move forth in truth and we can move forth in freedom. So I declare that today, and I know that Reverend Rosedale is just going to knock it out of the park. So again, we are the microcosm in a microcosm, unique expressions of the one mind. And I know that we will get more information today and let it settle into our bones and live from a place of thanksgiving. I am so thankful and grateful for being here today. Thank you for inviting me. I love this community. And knowing that all that I've said is in the divine mind now, out in this universe, this vast system, the system of love. And so I release this prayer, and so it is.
Oh, that we are a part. We're the micro, a part of the macro. Now, you know, that said it all. That set it off, like that girl said in that movie, set it off. Thank you, Reverend Soldier, for bringing us in. So that being said, the next person is going to really throw us another curveball, and she's going to bring us in to the reading. And now, just like Reverend Sonja so eloquently gave reference to Act 1 and Act 2, you're going to hear Groovy give even more reference to it. And then the song that follows that, even more so. So listen carefully to Groovy's reading, and you'll prepare yourself to understand your anatomy of the second act. So Groovy, after Groovy's finished reading, listen to this song, The World Exploded into Love All Around Me. And as you do, notice the things that Groovy says. So with that, break it down for us with some metaphors. This whole talk today is all about metaphors. You will get it. So in the talk, the second anatomy, Groovy, make it do what it do.
Oh man, this was absolutely beautiful. From our prayer to our just everything has been beautiful. I have the honor of reading to you The Architect of the Second Act, written by Reverend Rosedale Jones. Imagine, if you will, that your life is a grand theater. You are the actor. In the first act, the house lights are up. You spend all your energy learning to script the world handed to you. You learn to wear the costume of the teacher and the caregiver and the provider so well that you eventually forget where the fabric ends and your skin begins. You think the first act is the whole play. You think the limbs of your identity, like your job, your health, and your roles are who you truly are. But then the lightning strikes, the stage goes dark, a monkey wrench is thrown into the machinery, and a part of your story is suddenly cut off. All the sparks fly everywhere, and the whole machine breaks down. It won't do anything else for you. You almost give up and let go of your entire life just for this first act. In the silence of the dark theater, your brain starts to itch. It tries to find the old script. It feels the phantom pain of a role that no longer exists. Science calls this neural echo, but spirit knows it's just the clearing of the stage, because here is the truth. The first act was about the costume, but the second act is all about you, the actor. You get to choose everything in the second act if you will only go that far. Besides, you aren't just watching the play, you are the one who knows how to fix the machine. The second act doesn't start when things are perfect. It starts when you realize that even if the props are gone and the stage is bare, you, the architect of your life, is still in the room. You are not the limb that was lost. You are the mechanic who has the ability to recreate the machine and the whole stage for the second act. When you sit in the quiet of the 2 a.m. dark, don't scratch at the phantom itch of who you used to be. Instead, listen to the memory of oneness with spirit. Your brain remembers the pain of the lightning strike, but your spirit remembers your perfection. It's time to stop crying up to anyone who will listen and start knowing from within. It's time to take your passion, turn it into your rhythm, and step back into the light, because the thunder you make in the second act is not a noise of destruction. It's the sound of your soul finally saying, I am, and I am still here. The following is a quote from Reverend Rosedale Jones. You make a complete comeback in your life when you realize you, the actor, remains in the story of life. And so it is.
Imagine the world exploding into love all around you. We'll start with a short centering, but relax your eyes. And if you would like to look into your lap or close them, it's all up to you. And all you got to do is take a nice deep breath in and exhale and let all the organs in your torso relax. Before we begin, I want to just sit with that sound of those words for a second. The world exploded into love all around me. It's that split second when the machine that Groovy talked about in the reading of your life broke down and the script you were following had to change. I want you to recognize that there are thousands of second acts available to us for the rest of our life. So it's never over. You just have to get done with the first act and clean off that stage. And let's move on to the second act. Because every time lightning strikes or our world explodes into love all around us, we know it's time to prepare for Act 2. So then also check this out. After the bomb, it's in the quiet. Remember, spiritual practice is in the quiet. You don't want to remember the old you, so don't start scratching the itch of that old you. Just don't do that old one, because the second act is the real you. So to me, this is a me-to-me conversation that you just happen to be overhearing at this moment. So deepen your practice and open your mind to the anatomy of the second act. Now, are you ready to embrace the anatomy of the second act? And you know, you've always been a choice, whether you choose these practices or you just want to listen and just let it flow through you. But wiggle your fingers and your toes though, and then you integrate yourself and find something in your space to bring you right back into this present moment. And now I got a question for me. What made me think of the anatomy of the second act? Well, first of all, it was a me-to-me conversation. And now you've just been invited to overhear everything that me say to me. So here's the first part. This is key about this whole Sunday. The metaphors. Research says that metaphors talk to spirit faster than your logic does. So don't let this talk throw you. Listen and let it get you. in the place that it needs to get you. So here, let's start like this. Think of your mind, your life as a play, and you are the main character. Now, the first act is usually the setup, okay? From, little tadpole all the way up to the frog stage. But according to Groovy's reading, she says this. Now, there's lots of limbs on the tree, right? There's 4 limbs on our bodies, right? But she says, you think the limbs of your identity, like your job, your health, and your roles, are who you truly are. So, I want to talk about the anatomy of that second act as a state of consciousness. See, in the first act, you learn the rules. They tell you, they have you fit in. So you try your best to fit in and you build this identity based on what the world expects of you. I expect you're a maid. I expect you to cook my meals. You're the doctor. I expect you to do whatever you do. But here's the deal. This is the first act. And right here is where you really get your tools. You require some tools. I don't know if you want to call them yours yet. Your titles. You even require titles, but you also start getting more limbs, if you will. Now, the limbs are the arms and legs of your life, or the branches of your tree. And the second act is where the transformation happens. See, it changes your role as the leading actor. But you can make it better. In the first act, you merely survive. But in the second act, you evolve. So let's talk about another metaphor. Lightning strikes. Now, lightning strikes is the friction in our lives. It's the stress. It's the monkey wrenches that was thrown in the machine of the reading, as you heard. The monkey wrench got thrown. It just threw your plans all the way to somewhere. And the struggle with that built-in pressure is something you have to deal with or not. Because you can get out of that first act. It's all up to you. See, lightning strikes is just a metaphor for the moment you really realize the scene of your life is about to change to a new normal. So even if you lose a job, a partner, or your physical ability, you, the actor, are still in your life. You're still in the play. You can't leave. Nobody leaves. So spiritually, the actor is your essence. Now, when I think about how much I love psychology and science, Carl Jung calls it your archetype. Now, archetypes, if I have to say the word right, they are categorized by energy. But you see, they represent a way of using simple language, like doctor, nurse, lawyer, student. So we spend that first act thinking we are those things, those archetypes. But we're going to find out. We even play the role of vitality. And I'm talking about people that talk about this healthy. I'm on a healthy kick because I eat clean, okay? We treat health like a job or something that we have to maintain or a costume to keep clean, right? Or we act like it's a goal that we have to reach. Quit playing with health because health is a big deal. But when the lightning strikes in role 1, act 1, your job, your income, or your health could drastically change to cause you to get that lightning strike. But guess what happens at that point? You panic. You think everything is all over. But then in that dark stage, what you heard Groovy talk about in the reading, that's your spiritual practice time. Somebody, somewhere got you to realize that it ain't over. I learned that it wasn't over by reading Louise L. Hay books. I learned that it wasn't over by learning all of these different things that I didn't even know existed, but I still did not know about this big movement. That was pretty much the way it was for me the first 30, 40 years of me. I didn't know it. I knew I needed change, but I didn't know how to articulate it. So looking back, I'll be honest with you, I didn't do the first act very well. I spent years unknowingly trying to force myself into a role to play. And it wasn't my role to play. You get where I'm at? I was trying to find my soul in the archetype of a police officer. And the reason why was because they were paying for everybody's education, and they sent us to law school, many of us, because that's the only reason why I went to the job. Okay, because I knew I was getting my education paid for without taking a loan. So I said, wow, this is a good thing to do. This is it. This is it. This is me. This is the goal for my life. That's still Act One. But I learned real quickly that looking at the politics around me, lawyer was not my archetype, clearly. I constantly wondered and saw myself helping people, not hurting them. Okay, and I want to talk about lawyers. So, okay, anyway. But the whole time I was studying law, my heart was in psychology. Literally, I felt that I should be doing what I'm doing right now. I really know, as I think of through my life, that where I am today, and you could get where you need to be today, but you really got a lot of thinking to do and a lot of contemplations to do, and you just do it. I didn't just articulate all of this for myself back then that I was going to be what I'm doing today, but I'm so happy because the architects I have right now are leader, are spiritualist, are healer, grandmother, great grandmother. All these things are beautiful architects where I'm taking care. Oh, I'm sewing for everybody in the world that comes upon me. So that's what I call the second act, my choice. No, I'm not going to be locking you up. Now I'm going to be trying to get you free, like Reverend Sonia talked about. But I knew this one thing back then in the first act, I was wearing the wrong costume. I'm not doing that first act anymore. You know, I'm not doing the things that was required of me now. I'm doing what I love. And that's why I stand here and tell you I am the happiest woman I have ever been in my life. I finally, one day, I don't know when it happened, but you'll never know when it happened, but you know it's going to. But I stepped out of that role that I had to play, and I stepped into the archetype that I was born to excel in. And I never work a day in my life right now. I'm just in a world of fun and love and people. And I'm watching people heal. And this is amazing to me. So the first act, think about us all now. The first act was written, directed, and produced by your upbringing, your schools, your parents. You with me? Okay. But to get from the first act to the second act, there's a sacred in between those two acts. Now remember, you heard in the reading about the dark theater Ruby talked about. There is a workshop in the silence of that dark theater, and that is where you learn spiritual practices. I don't care what they are, whether it's mindfulness, whether it's guided meditation, whether you're leading the meditation. Many of us were raised to cry up to the skies, to a God up there looking to get a rescue. See, we were taught that to fear the lightning strikes, because you know, in other words, you got to fear God in order to get the things you want or to be saved. You know, you got to get that mentality that we were trained to think for a minute. You had to be taught that way in order for you to be led by those leaders to keep themselves where they are. I'm not going there in that soapbox, but everything I say has to go back to that, because you got to wake up and start to recognize that, whoa, I cannot be controlled like this. So you can't be taught that you're bad because you had a car accident, or something's wrong with you because you have losses, or there's something punishing you. No, you got to realize, hey, I'm in Act 1. See, what's interesting, because see, lightning has to strike before you really wake up and say, okay, I am really in Act 1. I'm out of here. But see, for me, what's so interesting is my lightning strikes did not teach me to retire from life. But it almost did, because there was a time when I kind of believed that stuff a little bit was true back there in the first act. But you know what? No, I wasn't meant to retire from life. I was promoted to this self right here. This is my true self. Happiness, which is an inside job. This is a me-to-me conversation that you just happen to be invited to overhear. Got it? Now you're starting to see that I'm talking to me, but if you want to get this, jump on it. So I'm standing here as the happiest woman I've ever been in my life, and I'm going to tell you this here. When lightning strikes, it was never meant to destroy you. Spiritually, lightning strikes are the moments when your old story, check this one out, when your old story is too small for the person you becoming. That's why it feels so hard with the caterpillar when they're trying to get out of that cocoon. It's painful. Yes, your heart is breaking sometime when you got to do the things you have to do. But when the lightning strikes, you have got to say, whoa, I'm getting too big for these britches. I got to get out of them. Metaphorically taking you out today for a little dinner. So after a few months of self-pity, after the lightning strikes, and you learn that, oh, wow, my essence does not live in that thing that was taken away from me, or that limb that I lost. My essence lives in my oneness with spirit. This is a me-to-me conversation that you have been invited to overhear. Within 3 months of my lightning strikes, most of the time, I was back on stage, honey, with a whole new act, okay? And a whole new game plan. I tried so many different things. I love making money. It just turns me on. But here's this. I had a sales thing sometimes. I had a this and a that. I never quit doing my stuff. The things that didn't work just didn't work. And if you were judging me about, oh, she's always doing things, baby, you lost your own life or your own direction, baby, because I found mine all through all those lightning strikes. See, I recognize that the whole one incident that takes my joy cannot touch my frequency. It can take the joy for a minute, but my real frequency, my oneness with spirit, you can't have it. I didn't just survive. I recalibrated for Act 2. And remember this, again, me-to-me conversation that you just happen to be overhearing right now, because for 30 years or so, 30 to 40 years, I lived through fear, through lack, through loss. There was a bunch of lightning strikes that I probably can't think of, but that was still one of them. But every now and then, as I continue to evolve, that 2 a.m. in the morning thing, wake up call, people call it depression and they call it insomnia, but don't do that, because it's not true. Because, okay, I'm not going there because that's too much education right there. That's too much history. But listen to me. That 2 a.m. is real. It's for you. It is not for depression. They go, oh, I got to fight to get back to sleep. No, it's not. I can tell you that in another talk. But listen to this. But my 2 o'clock in the mornings, before I learned all of this, were like this. I'm not feeling. I'm feeling sad. Even though I'm thinking things are going good, I'm still feeling that sadness. I want to get past that. I remember those 30, 40 years ago when I was getting started here. And I started going, well, I don't want to do this. It's hard. But honey, I'm so glad that I knew I wanted better than what I had. Oh, I'm a poet. I'm so glad that I knew I wanted better than I had. I like that. Here's the thing. 2 o'clock in the morning wake ups anymore right now. Those little 2-minute fear things or scary things or pain things that used to come, that may come every now and then, they're nowhere near as heavy as they were when I did not know, when I was in Act 1. That's why you got to get out of Act 1. You got to finish that play. Let it end. So in Act 1, we grew limbs. Okay, limbs, right? We grew a limb of approval, thinking that we had to please everyone to be safe. We grew a limb of control, thinking if we just hold on tight enough, the world's going to send me a rat to get me. No, you're going to do all that. We grew a limb of lack. And always when we got that limb of lack that we're growing, it's always we're trying to look for the next time the shoe going to drop or when something's about to be taken away. Let it go. Let that limb go. Get off that limb. Stop hanging on it. Let it go. See, here's the thing. The brain is a big GPS map, right? And every part of the mind and body, now, I'm not just talking about one piece, mind, body, spirit, you know I'm always on the 3. But every single part of the mind, body, and spirit has a now, the brain is not the mind. Let's understand that. So every bit of it in this GPS map, it's a zip code. And the brain has a dedicated zip code for each one of those things. Your heart, your lungs, your legs, your liver, your kidneys, your arms, right? But when something is lost, the heart breaks down, maybe your mind breaks down, meaning that you're feeling bad. That's a different way. I'm not talking about the brain. That brain is sending messages to that injured piece of your whole mind, body, spirit connection. The address of the limb or piece that you lost may be gone, but you just got to change that address. Because here's the thing. That is something that you must learn to get through to finish Act 1 and get into Act 2. You know, that address change has to be done, and you have to fill out the form, if you will, and you have to give it affirmations. See, affirmations is the new address. Affirmations is the ink to get you there. And then you got the guided meditations, and then you got spiritual practices. The brain keeps sending signals to those lost places of that old address. It just does, because it's up to you to reroute that to the new you address. So when the brain doesn't get a response, go back, because that's what the brain is doing. It's going to go back and it's going to keep firing those signals. And those signals, if you don't get them right, they're going to start to feel tingling, itchy, or painful. You see, your brain runs that old program simply because it's a bunch of habits of nerves, but you have to control those nerves by working in your spiritual mind, by working your spiritual practices, by changing the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. See, I used to feel that sense of sadness until I began to realize that that's just an old program. So what did I do? I just practiced until I changed that address. I just knew that that's an old neural map. Neural, brain, neural, nervous system. That's the spirit. That's the physical part of you. But spiritually, it's the mind, the body, and the spirit. So I left that old zip code and I trained my brain to the forwarding address. Get it? So, and I also told you that this is a me-to-me conversation that you just happen to be invited to overhear. And dig this, the brain has a memory. That's exactly all it is a memory. And you cannot take it so seriously, because you got to know this. Spirit has a memory too. And you know what? While your brain is remembering your lightning strikes, spirit is remembering your perfection. You just got to trust that. It doesn't know that. You are allowing the brain to control that whole thing. You, instead of controlling it with your practice so that you can train the brain. See, we get back to our vibrant health the moment we start to remember, I'm out of connection with mind, body, and spirit. When mind, body, and spirit align, whoa, the brain finally finds the location of your perfection. It goes there. That's why I'm so happy, because I know I changed it all. But let this here land. Pain, Pain, is a ghost. You are a house. The ghost might haunt your hallways, but it doesn't own the deed. You heard me? Let it land. So every Tuesday at 6 o'clock, we have a consciousness meeting. Whether we're helping somebody go through the portal or visiting a loved one in the hospital for somebody through our consciousness, we could even be helping one of us in the team right there, manifest money, business plan, or health too. But no matter what we're doing in that consciousness meeting, you cannot believe it if you want to, but let me tell you something. We're building synergy together. See, synergy, it's a collective frequency that happens whether you believe it or not. All you need is one strong mind in that whole gathering, and you got everything. You got more power going to that person or place that you need. So as long as we're showing up and sharing our spiritual energy with each other, this works. So consider this. Spirituality is the breath. Science is the lungs. Lightning strikes are the friction, but our connection together is the force. But here's the secret. We don't wait for the storm to pass. What we do is we show up together to use our spiritual energy, and that is synergy. So if you're watching us on YouTube, I'm making out a call, a synergy call, a call to synergy, if you will. I am looking for all out people. I'm looking for the ones who are tired of playing in the costume of Act One. Don't just watch the lightning. Come be a part of the thunder that we make here at CSL Charlotte. I'm just saying. I love metaphors because now you get what I'm talking about a little bit better than me logically telling you and A equals B. No, we're not going there. Now, sit with these words. Listen. First, when there is nothing but a slow growing dream, you're still in Act One, right? And that fear keeps trying to hide deep inside your mind. But for me, at 2 a.m., that slow growing dream now is no longer a thing that wakes me up and I'm sad about it. No, it's the part of me, because I know what it is. It's that part of me that fear tried to bury in the first act, that police suit and that legal law degree could not satisfy. Nope. What a feeling to realize that I was waking up to unhide. So don't think you're waking up for insomnia or pain. I was waking up to unhide the dream deep inside of me so I can see what it is. I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm not just getting by anymore. I'm dancing for my life. Listen to the song Flashdance. Oh, I'm just dancing for my life. Why not? That is powerful. Did you hear what she was saying? She was singing about living and moving with passion in a world made of steel and stone. But you know what? The steel and stone is that old machinery group we talked about in the reading, and that monkey wrench that threw in there. And the world was really the monkey wrench, and they was trying to tell you who you are. But she said, what a feeling. She said, take your passion and make it happen, because that's the feeling. And then she hits the truth. She said, what a feeling. Being is believing. Yay, thank you. Yes, indeed. Nice. Can't beat that. Thanks, Horace and Alan, for just letting everybody know. Because when you give today, I want you to understand what you're doing. You're making an investment in consciousness. You aren't just making a donation, you are investing in a consciousness that has the power to change the world. You don't have to believe it, just invest in it, because you are fueling a vibration that reroutes the lightning strikes and return people to the truth of who they are. Now, I'm not just speaking from a book, I'm speaking from experience. I have seen this power transform my own life. I stand before you as a leader who has found a new way to lead, as a healer who has learned that the greatest medicine is my oneness with spirit. And as healthy as I am and happy woman that I am, I healed in the lightning strikes too, because I needed all of them for my healing. And I understand that. When you get to understand that, that's fantastic. But don't drop back and put up your guards against this, because when you hold your guards against and protect yourself from circulating your money, you probably miss the chance to change, to heal, and to prosper too. So your investments keep this frequency alive. So as you give, I want you to ask yourself one cute little question. Are you ready to stop just watching this frequency that you see? You see a frequency, and start being the power that fuels it. And just think about it. Let it sit. So before we close out, I want you to think about something else. Now, today was about viewing the anatomy of the second act. I know you understand it now. You broke it down to the ridiculous. You know it inside out. Are you ready to make your passion and take it with you and make it happen? Because I'm moving us from moving to the next level to really working that new you. We've talked about the anatomy of the second act and the archetype roles that we play. We talked about it, but can we be about it? Because as we leave this space today, are you going to have it on your mind? I want to leave this space. Well, I'm going to leave this space, but I want you to leave it with the most powerful two words in the human language. You know, we're spiritual beings, but we're having human experiences. I am. Most two powerful words in the world. I am, I said, to no one there, and no one heard at all, not even my chair. But I am still here. And as you return the stroke of lightning back, I want you to know, I am. This is you. I am is spirit remembering your wholeness. So listen to the song, I am, I said. Listen to it. Said I. Hey, I said it to no one there, but no one heard me, but even not even the chair. But you know what? He said, I remember whatever you say behind I am, make it real and make it you. You know, he talked about the frog being the king and he became one. So come on now, you could do it. So Reverend Sonja, are you ready to pray us out?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the service this morning, Reverend Rosedale. So this morning, Reverend Rosedale allowed us to come and listen to a me-to-me conversation, herself to herself. And she talked about the anatomy of the second act. And so what I recognize and heard from that is that we've been programmed by our environment in that first act. And we call it the cycle of socialization, where we learn from our parents and we learn from our schools, then we learn from our, all these things, people that we learn from. But Rosedale also told us that there is a sacred in between. And when we employ that, when we get to that in between, that's when we pull out our toolbox. We employ those spiritual practice. And she said, whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't have to be what I do, just what you do. It could be walking in nature. It could be mindfulness meditation. It could be visioning. It could be whatever works for you, because you're always at choice. She also told us that those tools were limbs that we have attained through these lightning strikes. We have grown new limbs. So what are we going to do with those? She reminded us that even when a monkey wrench is thrown into the program, it is meant to step you into the second act. The second act, she said, like the caterpillar in the cocoon, breaking through and emerging as a butterfly. It's not light work. It's painful, but we go through it. The butterfly goes through it and becomes anew. And then Neil Diamond just told us, I am. He said he had an emptiness inside of him that would not leave him alone. And so that's evolution. When you tap into it and you make it work for you, you do something with it, you are evolving into your next yet to be. And we heard a song about an explosion. The world exploded. That is that explosion that is taking place within you. That is that explosion that took place in Neil Diamond. That is the explosion that was in Reverend Rosedale, that moved her from what she thought she wanted to do, be a police officer, be an attorney, into what she's doing now. And she says she has never worked another day in her life because she absolutely loves what she's doing. And that is, she's encouraging us to take that step into our second act. And so I invite you to just take a deep breath and join me in consciousness. Today we have celebrated ourselves. We have celebrated that being within us that I call God. You can call it love, the universe, whatever. And so today we acknowledge that we stand at the threshold of our own second acts. And it's a glorious moment for us to tell stories, for us to emerge, for us to get rid of those false beliefs and limitation, what someone told you you had to be, and step into that power within you that tells you and assures you of who you are. This is your second act. And so I give thanks for this community. I give thanks for this sacred gathering, the Mind, Body, Spirit Center, CSL Charlotte. I give thanks for Reverend Rosedale having the courage to come forth with this message. So we're not wondering. She lets us know exactly what it looked like for her. We can take that lesson and we can move forth in our own life, so we can begin to evolve into that thing that Spirit is calling you to do, that thing, that still small voice in you that you've heard telling you, this is who you are. Step into it. And so taking another deep breath, I just surrender it and release it to that power and presence that is all encompassing in this universe. I let go and I let God. And so it is.
Oh, she just rocked that prayer out of the park. Go ahead, girl. And everybody on this platform rocked. So as we wrap our time together with the anatomy of the second act this week, I still got that in my mind. As you show up in the next phase of your day, because we got this segment, then we got the next segment, then after that, there's always a new segment of your day. You have to trust that. But when you step to this next one, and the world might still see you as that struggler, but look in the mirror and you say to that quantum field, I am that actor who remains for the second act because I'm still here. I'm still here. So the lightning strikes will come, but you better come back as that thunder. And remember, the universe is always supporting you on your journey. Until you meet again with us and we meet with you, stay focused on the anatomy of the second